See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you who will prepare your way. The voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make his path straight. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Extry, extry, read all about it. I can picture newsboys in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s on New York street corners hawking the latest edition of the Herald Tribune, the New York Times, or the Daily Post to passers-by as they announced the day's headline stories. From that ominous day in October 29, extra, extra, read all about it. Stock slump, $14 billion and nationwide stampede to unload. I have images of them, those newsboys. I can hear them, see them calling out those headlines. I've seen enough movies and newsreels. It's a vivid image for me. Of course, today Twitter, Facebook, and cable news have replaced the newsboys of the past. The news these newsboy heralds cried out about was usually bad news: the stock market crash, the Hindenburg disaster, Pearl Harbor. Why can't we hear good news once in a while? Well, I guess it depends on where you look. The beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, as it is written in the prophet Isaiah. See, I am sending my messenger ahead of you who will prepare your way, the voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make his path straight. Mark, the author of the oldest of our canonical Gospels, has something important to say, good news to offer, the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. He is a herald, a newsboy with a gospel good news message. It is the gospel good news message about Jesus Christ and his kingdom. And like Isaiah, whom he quotes, he's speaking to people in exile. It's not the same kind of exile as that which was experienced by the Jews in Babylon, the captives to whom Isaiah's original message was addressed. It's more of spiritual exile. It is perhaps the exile of Jewish Christians in Palestine, feeling the direct threat of the Roman Empire just before the fall of Jerusalem and the subsequent destruction of the temple, painfully echoing the destruction nearly 600 years earlier by the Babylonians. It is perhaps the exile of the Gentile Christian minority in Rome, experiencing the persecution and cruelty of Emperor Nero, who famously fiddled while Rome burned. The hearers of Mark's gospel are exiles. They are isolated, alienated, and oppressed. They are anxious and fearful about much: violence, brutality, and persecution, wars and rumors of wars, poverty, famine, disaster, and disease. They're human just as we are. They often wonder where God is. What is God doing? Perhaps the way some today wonder what God is doing, where God is in the midst of a pandemic or a country that sometimes seems to have lost its mind and way. Those who went down to the Jordan River to hear the piercing prophetic message of John the Baptist surely wanted to know what God was up to. It is clear to Mark and to the church to whom his gospel was addressed that John the Baptist, with his rough clothing and strange diet, his Elijah-like appearance, with his intense, wild personality, had come to prepare the way. John the Baptist was a herald, a newsboy, a mouthpiece, crying out God's message of deliverance to people who were suffering, who were hurting, who are broken and sinful, who are exiles. John sets the stage for deliverance, just as Isaiah of the exile had set the stage for deliverance 500 plus years before. Extry, extry, read all about it. Now here's something remarkable. The voices of these heralds, Isaiah, John the Baptist, the writer of the Gospel of Mark, are sounding forth once again. They are sounding forth once again to people who are suffering, to people who are in exile, too often lonely, isolated, alienated, and afraid of the COVID pandemic and all it has brought, poverty, unemployment, uncertainty, racial disparity. They are sounding forth to people who too often anesthetize themselves with stuff or alcohol, sex or drugs, to the young person so connected to social media that he's disconnected from all that's around him, to the teenage girl who cries alone in the bathroom because every time she looks in the mirror, she doesn't see Anya Taylor-Joy, Rihanna, or Megan Fox. These words are sounding forth to the 50-year-old whose unemployment has run out and who has to decide whether to buy food for his family or pay the electric bill, and who's furious at Congress for not doing their job. They're sounding forth to the mother and father of two who are in foreclosure, to the 75-year-old whose spouse is in the hospital with COVID-19, alone, terribly alone because visitors aren't allowed. The words of these heralds are sounding forth to us, each and every one of us, who sit so often in darkness, who all too often have become so accustomed to this darkness we don't even know we're sitting in it. We are indeed strangers in a strange land, to quote Robert Heinlein's classic title, too often isolated, anxious, oppressed, afraid. Yes, we're exiles. But thanks be to God. The herald's words sound forth again, calling us, inviting us, urging us to come out of the darkness and into the light. Comfort, comfort my people, says your God. The beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, as it is written in the words of the prophet Isaiah, prepare the way of the Lord, make his path straight. Yes, this good news of Advent is addressed to us, who are the exiles in this world. And there's one more thing, and it's vitally important. We're called to be heralds of this news to others. Will you proclaim by word and example the good news of Christ? We're asked in the baptismal covenant. We are called to be Isaiah saying to others, comfort, comfort my people. We are called to be John the Baptist, telling those whom we meet who are hurting, telling those who we love who are fellow exiles with us, the beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ. Prepare the way of the Lord, make his path straight. We are called to be Mark, proclaiming the beginning of that good news, the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, this Advent season. Extry, extra. Read all about it. It is good news, worth telling. It is good news indeed.